Welcome to the duvet for another channeling in relation to creative shadow work around the wounded child and how it shows up in our lives. I want to talk today about how isolation and really feeling a sense of urgency can affect our creative callings and connection to others. So, I am somebody who is very isolated often and can feel really disconnected from other people. How this often manifests when I do connect with others or community is I will often see people way before they see me, and I'll be aware of others and I'll kind of pick up on certain energies. And definitely at school I was always like, I knew not necessarily the kids below but always the older kids. I would just know everybody's name and I'd know a lot about them without necessarily being seen. Like it was just kind of weird actually. And it would be strange when I would be talking to someone and I knew who they were, and then I'd have to pretend I didn't know who they were and all that. And really, this is how this has manifested for me as an adult, has often been that I will meet people and maybe it's networking, maybe it's just trying to connect with others at an event or a community situation. It might even be sharing my work, but there'll be this shadow that comes up around seeing others but not being seen myself. And there's where the urgency comes in, is that there's some kind of expectation that if I am entering a space or in an environment that I should instantly, because I've probably seen people and scouted them out and evaluated them and I know who they are. By and large, like not always, there's a lot of people I probably have blind spots with as well and I don't see, and they might have this projection on me that I'm not seeing them, and that's most definitely true. And we encounter, the others that we encounter are the ones that are going to trigger us and help us move through certain karma in that kind of relationship and that dynamic. Or whether that's of being seen and unseen or something else. But really, the urgency for me, it gives this sense that, like, now or never, this needed to happen yesterday, and it's kind of quite unhelpful. There's something, nothing important's urgent, that's the quote I was thinking of. Nothing important is urgent, and nothing urgent is important. I can't remember who said that. It sounds stupid actually, because I think there are a lot of important things that are probably also urgent. But the point is that sometimes when we have this drive, this sense of urgency around like wanting recognition from others or wanting to be seen immediately, that can come from shadows and trauma, and it's not really fair. And often with sensitive people, with creative people, they might be in a space or in an environment and it will seem like nobody cares about me and my work, or nobody sees me. Maybe they just haven't had time, and maybe you actually also flip that round and you haven't seen them. And to loop this back round to the narcissism and narcissistic traits in relation to creativity, we can basically be using other people as a witness to us, as a supply to validate us and our existence and our specialness, rather than meeting them as another human, another connection to be enchanted by. And the urgency, and as I say urgency now, I'm going to soften and slow down a bit, because I recognise that I'm sort of There's an urgency there. And yes. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer, and it's not immediate. And it's not that you're not worthy and that you're invisible, but it's just that you might be a bit more obsessive or weird, or you might be a bit more aware of others before they're aware of you. And you might also be, for that reason, super sensitive to any signs of rejection or ostracism. And for me, the way this appears in my creative journey is that I'll often try and self-ostracize or dismiss opportunities based on the fact that I've been either not seen in an environment or I've been rejected from something, and then it's kind of like the resilience reduces, when actually all of these things don't necessarily mean the high stakes worst case scenario situation that people don't like you, or you're weird and you're rejected and ostracized, or that you're not worthy of being seen. It's most definitely your core beliefs about and feelings about that are being sort of projected onto others, who are then recreating that scenario to affirm your story, to basically, if it's done with awareness, that whole kind of karmic whatever can be unfurled and explored and released. But while kind of going about our business and our creative, expressive, networking, whatever it is, with this unaware drive to be seen and to be recognized and to belong, we can be blinkered to the fact that how connected are we in that environment? Are we meeting the other with the willingness and openness and sense of enchantment that we want to be seen by? Are we seeing that other person for who they are, or are we just seeing their work? Are we even seeing that? Are we seeing them as a sort of pawn in our game of getting exposure or whatever it is? And those are just a few things to think about in relation to narcissism and creativity and loneliness and isolation, and being driven by a sense of urgency around these things, when actually, I'm going to say normal. I don't like the word normal. It's very, I think when I say it, you'll know what I mean. Like normal people, as in people who don't have sort of hypersensitivity, probably a degree of neurodivergence, possibly maybe some trauma that manifests in various labels. These people can often be acutely sensitive to rejection or judgment or lack of inclusion from others. I am one of those people, and it is okay. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve to belong in community. It doesn't mean that you don't have an audience or people that will be interested in your work. And it doesn't mean that you are an unworthy worm, slug, that just shouldn't bother. You should just crawl back in your hole and die. It just means that you need to hold yourself softly and build resilience through repeated, performance of being normal, I think, actually. So even if the last thing you feel is like trying to be in an environment with others where you're one of the crew, one of the team, one of the people, and everyone around you is a friend, that's something to work towards. It's something I've been working towards after a lot of my life feeling sort of on the edge, not feeling like a sense of belonging, and feeling like I kind of go quite effectively and efficiently from different things, different groups, different roles, always on the edge, always kind of doing the work but not really in the presence, in the connection, and then going home and feeling lonely at 3 a.m. because I've performed a gig or I've published a book, but it hasn't helped the isolation and sadness and loneliness inside. The creative act of whatever I've done has been an attempt to seek connection or transcendence, and it might have landed with people who are distant and not in this space-time, but it hasn't given me that sense of real connection in the moment, because I might have shared it and then been totally dysfunctionally just unavailable in terms of my physical presence and capacity to have a conversation with someone, because I'm probably like, I'm doing something, I've got to pack my bags, or having one foot out of the door in a lot of social interactions, basically. It's okay. It's okay to be a weird loner. It's okay. It's okay to know others before they know you. It's okay to get really, really upset and feel rejected and ostracized. And it also is an inner child wound, and there's probably some trauma there, and you should hold this lovingly in order to allow you to be in a position where you can go forth, go forward, and build resilience by small exposures to things that make you uncomfortable, like being a normal person. In a group, even in a group. Wow, imagine that. This might, well, if you've listened this far, it probably does, this message, this temperament probably is familiar to you. I feel like I'm talking to myself more than anything here, and this video was an opportunity for me to lift something and release some judgment and lingering ickiness around my own shadows in this regard. And with that, I hope that it has also touched you and reassured you that you're not alone. And if you want to be held like this more, check out the links below for actual live connection circles that are held through Heart School, as well as a one-to-one coaching container. Thank you.